Dangote punched below the belt yesterday.
And that was unfortunate.
That was so unfortunate. Now, he went as far as telling us that NNPC was deliberately sabotaged. How can we kind of tell the fight to hold on?
No, the fight cannot hold on. It's for the good of the nation, and I think that fight is needed. You see, when the big men start to fight, at least the nation will be on its way to stability, and I think that is what it is.
Because a lot of time, what has crippled the economy generally is the quick spinning of we want to make profit immediately. And the government is saying, hey, everyone coming, there's room for competition. And just like I rightly said earlier, it's legal, according to the PIA, it's legal to do this as long as you are not going past the legal red line, which is predatory selling.
This is Souq business landscape. We will talk on SBL today, and I'm not alone. I'm very excited. They say when the big masquerade comes to the market, everybody sits and watch. So today, Your Excellencies, it's not just the big masquerade. The Oracle himself is back. Roll out the drums, clap if you can. Just grab yourself a cup of big pot of coffee because the Oracle himself is back. He's traveled around the world, but he's here with us. Dr. Zamanzi, you're welcome, sir. Good morning.
Just a very pleasant morning.
Good morning, Doctor.
Good morning. Pleasure to be here on SBL.
Yes.
Good morning, sir.
It will make it good for you just keep quiet. Just listen. You're welcome, sir. It's nice having you. Did you return to settle Dangote and Farouk Lawal? Was that what you came to do?
I don't have idea.
Okay, let's get straight to that particular first trending issue of the day that is affecting not just both of them, but Nigerian market. Price war as it comes to fuel. Dangote price slash has triggered a whole lot in the petroleum market shakeup, and 102 billion monthly loss is in quote somewhere and moving. Nigerian downstream petroleum sector has entered a price war following Dangote Refinery's decision to slash its petrol gantry price from 828 to 699 naira per litre. That's a good move. This aggressive move is already upending the market, creating financial strain across the supply chain. Fuel importers, depot owners, and retail marketers are reeling from losses, with estimates suggesting importers could lose up to 102.48 billion naira monthly if pricing continues. Industry insiders say the market disruption is the most severe since food deregulation, despite leading the change and the charge. Dangote Refinery admits it's operating at a loss, indicating that its strategy may be aimed at capturing market share in the short term while forcing down import volumes and asserting dominance in the domestic supply chain. Okay, Your Excellency, distinguished ladies and gentlemen on the other side, is this what we want to hear, or is this the action we want to see, or is it just one politicking, or one market movement, or one quarrel happening somewhere?
Well, I think if you understand the philosophy of the president of Nigeria, even right from the day of campaign, why advocating for a free market economy, and one of the things that he said was the fact that if you have plenty of players in the market, everybody will struggle to make money. And as people are struggling to make money, then of course the common man will smile. And I think that's where we are at the moment, that, they used to say when the elephants fight, the grass suffers. But this fight is making the grass greener. Yeah. And I think that's good for the consumer, really.
Yes, that's good for the consumer.
Oh, yes.
Okay. Now we have this particular fight now. Before we now start talking about the importers, it so happens that NNPC, who is supposed to be the regulator, is now the major importer of fuel.
Yeah, you see, NNPC has found itself in a very tight corner, and from the deregulation of that sector and commercializing their operation, it's now behooves on NNPC to find a way to make money. They try to fix the refineries, they are not working. And they are no longer, as they used to be, bottle feeding from the federal government, as it were, to keep turning around refineries. So it's only wise for them to think about commercial activity that will put money in their pockets. And I think that's what they're doing. And so we can't blame NNPC at the moment, since they don't have the means to fix the refineries. And of course, the refineries have proven not to work, as had always been. So what they're doing right now is just to survive.
Survivor.
And of course, you still also have to tell the government that there's a need to retain that structure, that you are relevant and you are making money for government. So people need to keep their jobs.
So right now it's about survival.
Oh yes, survival.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, while Doc is saying it's about survival right now, let's break it down. The Dangote side of it. Dangote is saying 699 from 822. And they are saying that, hey, at this price, we are making a loss. Okay, now, take yourself away from the refinery and away from NNPC. Do you think they are making a loss?
When you say loss, you have to still attach yourself to the person saying they're making a loss or they're making profit. I can't detach myself from it. If they say they're making a loss, then they're making a loss. Our pricing was legal. Yes, I mean, the PIA allows for it as long as the red line for that is as long as you're not doing anything in regards to predatory selling below cost, you know, or it's normal. If they say they're making a loss, it's not left to you and I to make any fuss about that. They're making a loss, and that's it. Actually.
Well, I don't think it's actually, because number one, nobody is asking for a price reduction. This is voluntary.
Yes.
And Dangote being a businessman, I don't think that he will voluntarily want to make a loss for anybody. So, yeah, of course, there's a whole lot that's happening, and everybody tend to. I was reading somewhere yesterday, and somebody said, "You see, every time that Dangote want to play some cards, he find a way to get the people to be on his side, and so that he can do the dirty fight. So it is this dirty fight between Farouk and Dangote that's actually here. So he first of all had to win people to be on his side, and to say, oh, people were fighting for you. But ultimately, and I think the gain is for the business. And beyond, people must also get to understand that beyond the fact that we're just selling petrol, there are also products that are coming out from the crude that are also making money for the factory. So we can't call it completely loss.
So something somewhere is augmenting.
Yes, yeah. So it may not be breaking even, but I don't think that it's a loss.
You might not be breaking even, but okay, Doc, I'm coming to you when it comes to that fight, because we need some fatherly advice to see who's getting the gloves. Now we see Dangote being able to knock down over 100 naira to 699. By next year, we envisage and
over 100 naira.
Yeah, over 100 naira, from 824 to 699.
Yeah.
By next year, we look forward to having BOA come upstream.
Okay.
We look forward to having, even if it's 2-3 modular refineries come upstream. What do you think the competition is going to be like?
Well, if there's anything, like Doctor mentioned, the government, they've made it clear, long-term, it's more of long-term investments, because a lot of times what has crippled the economy generally is the quick spinning of, we want to make profit immediately. And the government is saying, hey, everyone come in, there's room for competition. And just like I rightly said earlier, it's legal, according to the PIA, it's legal to do this as long as you are not going past the legal red line, which is predatory selling. So for me, I strongly believe that it's the market for this competition is available. So everyone should get in line. Don't be scared.
Everybody should get in line. Don't be scared. Okay, so before we get to that particular fight, let's talk about FX. Over 60% of the FX you spend in Nigeria is spent importing fuel. Now, with Dangote, a whole lot of that reduced. With the other refineries coming up, do you see us getting below 10% of the FX stress on importation?
Well, for me, I think nobody really should be. FX, I don't think is a big problem anymore. Yeah. As of course, Naira is trying to find its level, which a lot of economists had argued that Naira over the years had been overpriced, and we need to have a certain level that Naira should operate. And I think that was one of the issues that the government side actually emphasized yesterday, that Dangote can't stop anybody from getting a license to import fuel. But what government will not do is to prioritize anybody for foreign exchange. So if you want to import, then you get to go look for your exchange. So if you buy a dollar at whatever rate and then you put your margin, whatever cost you want to sell your petrol, you can, as long as there are competition.
Exactly.
So government is not going to defend any side to ensure that, of course, there's value for one side and then the other people are suffering. So it's either people look at business. If you look at it, you can buy from Dangote and still sell at a a profit, it makes a lot of sense than going all the way to go import and looking for foreign exchange to come sell fuel. But we understand the bitterness in the market. There are people who have hitherto been making so much cool money and that were not accounted for, and are finding it difficult to explain certain actions to authority or government. Before now you can say, oh, government, we are working very hard to solve something. So nobody can be a bit before the president and say, oh, we want to turn around the refinery because we are hoping in August the thing is going to produce diesel or petrol. So now the most struggle for survival. That's why I said earlier on that this is a survival mode that NNPC has found itself. Nobody can hoodwink anybody anymore to say this is what we should do as an expert because we have comparison from Dangote refinery. So if you bring your people can now also look at it and say, Dangote is selling, so what's the difference? So if you can't do it, then you have to quit. But I do hope that somebody will not be taking the money from the pause to bridge those gaps.
Okay. Take money from the pot to bridge those gaps. Now let's come to this fight. Dangote punched below the belt yesterday.
And that was unfortunate.
That was so unfortunate. Now, he went as far as telling us that NNPC was deliberately sabotaged. Even gave instances and mentioned names at a particular point in time. Then he went for Malam Farouk Ahmed.
Yeah.
He punched way below the belt. How can we kind of tell the fight to hold on?
No, the fight cannot hold on. It's for the good of the nation, and I think that fight is needed.
Yes.
You see, when the big men start to fight, at least the nation will be on its way to stability, and I think that is what it is. Yeah. Even before the Dangote refinery started, I have done some analysis and calculation on this table before that you see between 2017, when the refinery was bought back by the Yar'Adua government, until 2014. Nigeria has spent well over $14 billion in turnaround maintenance of our 3 refineries.
And repairs. And building a new wing that we never saw.
Can you imagine that the Dangote building a new refinery from scratch to finish with 20 billion? So if you put all the money together, even those staff who are doing overhead on the refineries alone was over 4 trillion. We're not dropping kerosene, we're not dropping diesel, we're not dropping petrol. Nothing is working. And you see the huge overhead from NNPC.
There's still a debt they are owing.
So, and for a very long time, they were not audited. Mm-hmm. For a very long time, NNPC was not audited. So we don't even know their financial status. So at a certain point, they started to declare losses. But so much money is getting into that place, and there were no accountability. And a lot of people have actually been feeding fat on this Commonwealth. And I think this is the real anger that is on the society at the moment.
Yes.
With all the blackmail that people talk about, because they are saying that government is turning away from what used to be the very familiar terrain, where everybody come, like the president said in 2012, NNPC was the ATM of some people, and they are making the nation dry. So what Dangote is pointing to is the fact that if you actually look at the lifestyle of people who work in that sector, given its own profitability and the type of life they live, it tells you that they are getting money somewhere. And I think really the House Committee on Anti-Corruption should probe those issues. I saw somebody said yesterday that, oh, there's no secondary school where they are paying $5 million. And I don't think that what they said that one child was $5 million. He said for the 4 of them.
Children, yeah.
4 of them and the elderly one that went to Harvard.
Yes. So where's that $5 million coming from? $5 million.
Charity.
So these are questions that, if it is true that they have their children in those high-profile secondary schools in Europe and in America, then they have to be questioned, because they are obviously living beyond their means. That's what it means. And it's not just Farouk. And as many who have lived in that kind of a place, we must begin to dig out facts and see how much we can recover from the commonwealth that has been taken by some few people in the name of serving the public good. So I think this is where we are. We can see a Saudi Aramco that is declaring profit in billions of dollars. We can see Eno in Dubai declaring profit in billions of dollars, doing the same business. And our own, we don't make profit. And some people are living large. And the society is underdeveloping. Poverty is increasing. And these are the issues. So I was saying to somebody recently, people look at the cost of corruption as if it is the $5 million. It's not the $5 million. It's the roads that are not made.
Exactly.
That is ending kidnapping. People can't drive. Is the hospitals that are not built, that people are dying of avoidable diseases. Is the schools that are not built. Research that are not funded. So the cost of corruption is huge. And I think government must call Dangote to the room.
Government called Dangote to the room?
Oh, yes. And the National Assembly must call them to the room. Because these are weighty allegations. And if these are substantiated, that a government officer in the Federal Republic of Nigeria is spending $5 million annually to train his children, then that person, we must call for his neck.
Okay. Let's get to the legal side of it.
Not just him.
The oracle said government must call Dangote to the room. Must Dangote have said what he said? Can't the government on itself do their own investigation? Or can't our ordinary citizen sue?
Well, according to the law, they say whoever asserts must prove.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you are, it's actually weighty. Calling people in, calling out names, giving out names is actually weighty. So he has to come with proof, with evidence. If there's anything that we know on this table, doctors with us today, you must prove, you must do that evidence. I know what evidence does. It takes you away from just guessing, just hearsay. It puts the nail straight to the head of whoever you're trying to get. And then even if you don't even get the person, you get spills and then you can start working on something. So accountability is very, very important. If you're spending $5 million on your kids in the entire year and you are represented as a civil servant in Nigeria, then there's something wrong. We need to check. And trust me, if we are pointing at just one person, then trust me, there are over 100 of people in that sector, in that environment, that's stealing way more or even close to Commonwealth. I had opportunity of going to do my law school in Bayelsa. When I got there, I was in my head, I was imagining for the first time I was going to see very tall buildings, skyscrapers, because that's an environment that houses this crude. You know what I'm saying? And I got there. In fact, thank God for the military camp close to law school. You can't go out at night. You can't drive there peacefully because there are a lot of shootings, a lot of insecurity over there. And this is an environment that holds a natural resource that we've lived or depended on as a country. Or if you go to Dubai, for example, that's one resource that they have that they've used to build their environment to what it is right now. And we are here still strong as talking about losses. We're talking about, no, it's questionable. So yes, let them call him in. Let him give us, he's right there at the top. He knows what he's saying. Let him give us facts. And then we can go after that, honestly.
Okay. We are still trying to say that government can't do their own investigation.
It's not about investigation. Before you investigate, you have to...
You see, the truth of the matter is both party, whether it's Farouk, because I have not seen his rejoinder. I have seen social media attack dogs trying to defend, and maybe that's the strategy you want to take. Silence sometimes can also mean that you have given consent to what is said about you.
Yes.
We want Farouk to come out clean, to debunk the claim.
Or sue Dangote.
Yes, of course, sue him. It's important. So when those facts come, so that we don't need to spend, government don't need to spend the money that it doesn't have.
Yes.
To go to the investigations, and then let's have these facts on the floor. And then, of course, we can see how to recall some of those funds. You see, but it amazes me how people think. I was speaking to a group of participants the other day, and I said to them, sometimes it's just the fact that we don't know how we got to this route where our lives and our values are defined by material things, not by the quality of our minds or thinking. And I was asking some very basic question. We were in the class, and a former vice chancellor of the university was telling me this daughter who went to study somewhere in Scotland and is looking for a job, and is asking me to help her look for a job. And I'm asking myself, so what was the value of going to Scotland?
To learn Scottish English.
What's the value really of having this huge investment just to train a child, and at your old age you are still fending for that child? Nothing has changed. Rather than allow these children to actually learn the street language and become useful to themselves. And this is where parenting has gone wrong in Nigeria. So people are constantly and consistently under pressure. Constantly under pressure. And you know, in the fraud triangle, we said that once there is a pressure and you have opportunity and you can rationalize, then you can commit fraud. So no matter how good that you are, once you have a pressure, school fees become a pressure in this case.
Yes. You have to meet up with the 5 million.
You have to meet up with that
amount of
and
money.
therefore you must do everything to sabotage the system so that you can get your 5 million to prove a point to people who actually don't care. Maybe if Dangote is not mentioning, how will I even know that Farouk had children? Let alone knowing that he has some children in very highbrow schools. Who really care?
Okay.
Nobody cares.
Yes, I am on Farouk Ahmed's side. Trust me. And as far as we are concerned, we will sue Dangote. I will advise you to go to court.
And that will be some good money.
Yes, we need to.
Dangote is able to pay.
Yes, we need to clear. Even if
it's $500 billion that you're suing for.
Dangote can just wake up.
Funny enough, if he wants to, most likely be coming from a place of defamatory and all that, he still has to come to court and still defend what was said.
We will.
Yes.
So if he wants to do that, then we are open to it.
We will. We can even hire your services. To everyone out there, remember I always said this: Nigeria belongs to all of us. So it's our responsibility to grow it. Now let's get straight to revenue. We need to grow this nation. Joint Revenue Board, they are coming up and they are telling us something that we wanted to hear all this while, but it's implementation we are looking at. Now they are banning tax checkpoints. The nationwide, to curb illegal collection, Joint Revenue Board has announced, listen, a nationwide ban on tax collection at road checkpoints, including the use of road stickers by state and non-state actors, as part of efforts to reform Nigeria's tax system and improve ease of doing business. The decision was outlined in a communique from the 158th Joint Revenue Tax Board meeting held in Abuja on December 9th and 10th, 2025. The board emphasized that such practices are illegal and contribute to harassment, 1, extortion, 2, and multiple taxation, which is major and key. The Joint Revenue Board called on Office of the National Security Advisor, Nigeria Police Force, and other security agencies to dismantle illegal checkpoints and remove non-state actors from the tax collection chain, promising stiffer enforcement going forward. Okay, dear Doug, dear Toby, now let's look at this implementation. Taking out these actors and players from checkpoints and Nigeria Street, how easy is it going to be? Knowing fully well that the National Union of Road Transport Workers, for those in Lagos and other states, the way they operate, are ever present. And they have been a major collector, both for local government and states. The people moving agricultural products and cattle, goats, they are also on the road. Then the stickers that we don't know sometimes where they come from.
Yeah, I look at it. You see, we are so much of impulsive people. We talk before we start to think.
Okay.
And I think that's the basic problem with policy and reforms in Nigeria because they don't think through the process before embarking on public statements. You see, you are inviting anarchy in society because these people who are doing this collection, you must put a program in place to fix them because they're also in search of survival. And when you look at the modus operandi of these people, it's blood and violence. You saw those motor park people, you will see caught here everywhere. Mm-hmm. Sometimes their nose are dumped like this. Yeah. Because the instrument of operation is violence. And if you are taking them off job, and they cannot collect and they don't make money, you're only unleashing mayhem on the society. And I think what government needs to do before we get to this point of phase out is to see how to pull them together, especially those who are not state actors, and give them a trade, maybe in the same line, develop an effective transportation system, for example, for those who are in the motor parks, where they can be gainfully employed and taken off the streets so that there's no backlash on the society by making them or taking the means of livelihood from them. Because if people don't have anything to live for, they can die for any simple cause. And I think those who are taking this decision must also put that into account. Because the people who stays under the bypass in Benin, with nails,
not just nails,
and cutlass.
Oh, now you're coming, sir.
To stop vehicles. It's not government that sent them.
Trucks, trailers, intercity, intracity.
So these are the things that we must have to first of all address. So when we see that we are moving a shift, we must look out for the fallouts and the outcome of the policy decisions that we are taking and see how do we take these people in so that they don't become a menace to society. And I'm not thinking that this is part and parcel of the program. So while we're thinking in common, say, okay, we're trying to save the common man, and I think the common man needs to be alive
to get saved,
to be able to enjoy the benefits of not too much taxes.
Okay.
So whether it's in the market you find them, whether it's in the bus stop you find them. So they are all positioned everywhere. But we know that the key driver of this is that these people are just simply earning a living by adopting the instrument of force. So if you take them up there, what do you see? You see the trend before when they say, okay, every time they said they have banned roadblock in Nigeria, the spate of armed robbery increases. And they are not coincidence.
Okay. On that particular one, we'll seek out data and elderly advice to continue the conversation. But now let's get to it. This particular policy came with some instruction to first National Security Advisor, then Nigerian Police, then other security agencies. But if we look at these particular actors that constitute the roadblock, majorly interstate, you still see security agents within them, majorly for trucks and those moving produce and agricultural products or imported products across. You still see security agents, be it customs, be it Nigerian Police, sometimes with these actors, while they collect this tax. How are we going to deal with this legally? Whereby, if for those intrastate, we can say, okay, security agents leave and make sure that this doesn't happen again, because they also make sure that these taxes are collected.
All right, so first, let's get the facts. Roadside tax collection is illegal, and there's no Nigerian law that backs it. So that's why this policy is coming up, and it's easy to just fly. Okay. And I'm going to adopt what Doctor said earlier with regards to the triangle. There's going to be pressure, and that pressure is going to lead to something that we don't like. So what do you do in between? You have to create. When you create policies, you have to look inwards and see how to create. Yesterday I was talking to a colleague of mine, and I said, we say a lot of times no employment, but there are a lot of sectors that we can create jobs And I always like to use the rail, for example.
Okay.
1,000,000 jobs can be created from the rail sector. If you go to the UK, for example, like I always say, you see roadside officers, see customer service, people that talk to you at random, so where are you going to, and all of that. These are areas you can start diverting these roadside tax collectors into, and that what makes them, you are taking them from non-actors to becoming actors, people that you can recognize based on data. So it's not enough to just say you want to evacuate them because the law does not give room for that. You have to understand that this is like the proverb where you say it's like their bones, you can't swallow them or you can't spit them out. You have to find a way to balance them in your truth. So instead of just saying we don't want them anymore, why don't you make a policy that shifts or that takes them away from the road into another environment that now you can even watch them closely. Now we know that the police people are always there, the security people are always there, short watching and even giving them. For me, I won't say giving them security coverage. I think even the security themselves, they know that these people have like some should I say informal backing that they have to also come down, because like the doctor said, if you take them out, they become the nightmare of the security men on the road. So they do your thing, we do our thing. But in this situation, when you want to implement such a policy, then you need to understand that that's you taking over 1 million jobs from people.
Okay. Add this to your submission. For some of this, not all, for some of them are state actors. Some of them, even the non-state actors, they remit to somebody within the government.
See,
why are we not seeing that conversation around those particular entities that they remit to?
The truth is, at the end of the day, whether they are state actors or not, I mean, for the ones that wear white and green on the road, you know the people I'm talking about, they still come from an informal side of things. The fact that they're there with uniform does not make them recognized under the law. So you have to state that fact first. So that's why at the end of the day, policymakers in Nigeria, they're quite interesting. They see these things and they make the policy, but they don't understand what's happening in the streets. As a policymaker, you must go back to the streets to see what your policy, how it will affect the government. At the end of the day, your policies are supposed to cover and make room for a better life for the common man, not from the top. So and sometimes I feel like sometimes these policymakers just make these policies because it affects them from the top. But when you take this, once you enforce or implement these policies, which is actually very good in the long run, how does it affect the common man? That's why I said I'm going to adopt what the doctor said of the triangle. The pressure starts. You have more unemployed people. And then you know what happens? The unemployed people start to feed on the middle class. So the policy is good, yes, but you have to create room for these people. And as you are shifting it a little bit, you start seeing, sometimes you go through a road or a local government and you're like, something has changed here. That's how policy works. Not just once you put out there, because right now, there's people that are actually already panicking. Oh, what's going to happen to us? That's the pressure. So any of the actors you think are actually backed by maybe the government or whatever, trust me, check very well, because the law says road tax collection is illegal. So that's not formal in any way.
Okay, not formal in any way. We had this issue when it came to food prices last year, and a lot of blame was put on the excess money collection. I can't call it tax. That was taken off people that were moving farm produce from either be the north or some other parts to the metropolitan cities. So before we get there, we have over 10, 15 checkpoints and we have to pay. So at the end of the day, we'll put back all the monies we paid on the produce themselves. Is it possible where we can now say if these people leave, then food should be cheaper?
You see, choose. We need to get to a point where the state itself is no longer fragile. Because the government, the state, Nigerian state, is a very fragile state. And when they talk about the fragility of state, they're talking about the inability of government to govern its space. In 2025 alone, there's data that Boko Haram bandits and ISWAP collected a tax worth over $150 million from farmers. In 2025 alone,
That's a nation.
In Niger, in Kebbi, in Borno, in Katsina, in Zamfara. These guys are taking taxes from farmers right from the source. And we're seeing states like Katsina, states like Zamfara that are negotiating with these people so they can have some air of peace. We have to defeat that. So that's why I'm saying that, see, many times we say things and then come to think about it later because we're not seeing the fallout of the statement that are made. And this is a big problem that I have. So, of course, and in the Southwest here, a lot of them are election winning structures.
Machineries.
I may say machinery. I say structures.
Let's leave it at machinery.
So they are self-winning structures, election winning structures. And these are things that we must think through. That we say, okay, this is a policy, and this is a change that we are envisaging. How do we manage the fallouts from those changes? Those are the things that, for me, should constitute the core, not the pronouncement.
Okay.
Because, like I said, these people, you didn't empower them. They have taken the laws into their hands. You know, in Lagos, they call them Awawa.
Awawa, yes. Awawa. It's been a long time I heard that.
You need to study to be on the level at which it is right now. Okay?
So that is what it is. And they are here. And there's really nothing anybody can do about it. And the states themselves, they are aware
that they are there.
That these people are here. And that's what I'm talking about. We first sitting down and think, how do we get these people productively engaged? And then, of course, design society in such a way that some of all these things can be addressed. Take, for example, it's absurd today that we're still talking about parks.
Okay.
In Nigeria, there's no clean city in the world where you see buses gathered together in one place. Buses are on the move. Now, Lagos has been talking about phasing out yellow buses.
Yeah.
Since 1999.
What's he talking about it?
So I think these are the things that we need to first address so that we can have a road system where transport is consistently moving. And so we don't need anybody to load a vehicle. And then those people who are staying there, the government can work out an insurance policy that can give them a bus that can be on the road and subsidize hugely. And then they live by it. And then you have saved the family, you have saved the nation. And that's not hard. In South Africa, government is giving 50% discount on every vehicle that public transportation users are doing. And so there's sanity. And I don't think that's a big deal for a government that can strike a deal, either with Toyota or with Innoson, wherever that is manufacturing a car.
Clean buses.
And say, all these people we have identified them, let them have buses, and then they drive. And then we give insurance on the buses. So that if these guys run in 5 years, 6 years, they can change their buses themselves, but they don't need to concentrate in one place, call a park, and be taxing people. So these are things that I feel that are very possible that government can do. And these, of course, create a lot of free movement. And then, of course, it will also reduce the carbon footprint for us as a nation.
Yes.
Dear Doc, how can we get the people of every local government to start asking questions? Because at the end of every day, in every argument, everybody is looking at the center, forgetting that the sub-regions, the local governments are also getting an allocation. How can we start asking questions as a people?
Yeah, before even talking about the question asking modality, because a lot of people really have not understood that some things have changed. And that's a big, big problem. I was listening to Yaniya Baribe yesterday, when featuring on a sister channel and talking about that government is deceiving them with numbers. And these are the narratives that you find out there, which are misleading. The government came to the chambers to tell them that they have surpassed their revenue target, and yet they cannot find the money to fund the project. Now, what impression this creates in the mind of the average person who is on the street is the fact that government don't have money and the government is not spending money, but lying to the people that they have money, which is not the case. Since 2023 May, that this government came in progressively from 1.3 trillion monthly and consistently to date. Last month was 2 trillion. This month is 1.9 trillion that is shared between state and local government. So what you hear in the street is the fact that, oh, government is the reason everybody with data, that the money is not there. But the money is there, they're sharing it every month. And this money is getting to the local government. This money is getting into the hand of the state. Rather come out to tell us that their own constituency project has not been funded, and they're saying they're lying with numbers. And this is a problem. So the society is not well informed where the money actually is. So they go on the television because they are the mouthpiece of the people to tell people there's hunger in the land. This government is not trying. This government has failed. We must change this government. And we forget the fact that while we do all of this, it will boomerang even when you take the power in the next election cycle. Okay. So but telling the truth is important, and that's fundamental to people understanding what's actually happening. That every month, states are taking money. Somebody did a computation and said between January of this year and November, Delta has taken close to 500 billion in allocation from Abuja. So if it makes it easy to understand that this money is coming from Abuja and is actually getting to the state, then of course the people can sit down to be asking their state, we realize that you got 25 billion last month. What did you do with it? So people can ask questions. But if you create an impression that the money is not there, so how are people going to be asking their local government chairman whether they got allocation?
Or not.
But now we are telling you, we keep telling you every month.
Yeah, that's what we're saying, that there's money in the local governments and they're earning so much. And so we want to see local government build rural roads. We want to see primary health care, which is in their domain, that is built. We want to see good markets in the localities because they have money. And then we cannot be calling them and say the next election cycle, we will vote for this man. It doesn't matter who's presenting you. The local government currently are only accountable to their governor.
And the governor is accountable to no one.
Nobody. So this is a problem. But you see, the fundamental issue here is the fact that the sorry state of our society is a big issue. And that's why people can't even ask. Because you can't eat your cake and have it back. A friend of mine was telling me a very sad story, and which of course is something not new, of a certain professor who was retired very young. And the fact that he had too much energy, he was a lecturer in ABU and wanted to go contest the local government election in his own village so that he can give the people quality life. And he went into that election. He could not even secure one ballot at the primary. Hey, professor, he had retired. And he said the sad thing he did was the fact that he looked at the community and said, well, you know, like Jesus said in the Bible, that if you come into a community and they don't receive you, you shake all the dust off your shoe and leave it as a curse unto the people. He said the man packed his things and the house that he had in that village and gave it and donated it to a church and went back to ABU and said, well, I've come back to where I belong. Please keep me here until I die. And I don't want to be taken to that village again. You see how frustrating it is. Because many of the people in this locality take their money up front.
Before elections.
Before elections. So they have sold out that. They are not expecting this allocation. Because if you have taken your share, you can't come back again and say they should come and do something for you. Because most of these people who are supposed to be the activists in this local government are all settled during elections. So you are taking 10 million and then maybe they put 150 million to win the election altogether. And then you have been settled. So the next election cycle, he contributes and maybe give you 200 million, up it by 50 million. And so you don't need to ask him what he's doing with what he's collecting. And this is where, for me, it matters the most. Where the elite, people like you who are wearing suit and tie,
This is job uniform.
should go to the street to educate the people. Now, this is about the future, not about the Indomie or the spaghetti that they are sharing. Now, can't eat noodle for 5 years, or 4 years, or 3 years, as the case may be. The people must look at that. Look, what are the needs of our society, and this is what we vote for, and ensure that credible people gain election. People with agenda, people who have programs, who have ideas about how to develop society, are engaged in a debate.
Will they come?
And we don't just want them to appear on the television, we want them on the streets. This conversation has to be done on the street, not in the studios.
With ACs on.
So we do those conversations, and then we let the best people win the elections, and then we can hold them accountable.
Okay.
As long as the people are not part and parcel of those who decide who become a chairman or who become a councillor, the people cannot hold them accountable, because they can only be accountable to their master. Even in the Bible, Jesus said, you don't have the right to judge another man's servant.
Okay. Now, while we are not judging another man's servant, that particular servant lives in our locality and is spending our sovereign and national wealth. Okay. Now, let's talk from the legal side of it. We've seen local governments that year after year, nothing happens. And it has become a norm. Some local governments, the local government chairman, don't even reside there.
Yeah.
Some governors even spend more time in Abuja than they spend in their state. How can we start turning this tide? How can we make the people start turning the tide?
Awareness is very important, and being knowledgeable about your rights, what you can demand from the government is very, very important. You can't just appear before, let's say, before a panel or a judge, and you don't understand who you're fighting. You need to know what the enemy that you're fighting. So I feel like the common man needs to get more active. You need to participate more in this, should I say, political or government activities. When you get inclined, in short, that's why we do what they call this stuff. This where you get to know your governors, your senators,
town hall
meetings. You join in all these things, and some as little as local what do you call it LCDA meetings. Join, because when you join, then you can build your voice from there. You know the people that you can speak to. You can see how you can come in to putting in your own skills, your own understanding about your industries and all. Because at the end of the day, we are so focused on just the oil from the federal side. It's legally every state local government they have access to allocations, and they must also understand that there's a duty and responsibility for them to diversify revenue, which means that as a local government, as a state, what other means are you trying to look into to get money for your state, aside from what you get from the government? Let's not over-rely on what the government is giving. Because at the end of the year, the government is taking from us, but what are we also doing? Because there are so many informal sectors that we tap money from in local government. Mm-hmm. Now, to the question, the people need to get involved. If you don't get involved, you cannot fight or you cannot question what you don't know. I'll give it, there's a program they do in University of Lagos, Faculty of Law, they call it tax work. Now, what the students do is they go about neighboring environment to teach people about taxes, what their tax rights are, what the benefits they get from these tax policies. Enter into the streets of Yaba. At the time when I was still in the University of Lagos, we do this as far as going to Oyinbo, areas like that, to teach people what taxes mean. And at the end of the day, you see people don't even understand what the tax are. 2026 is a big year coming in. A lot of Nigerians are still confused as to what and how they should go about their personal tax and their company tax. People don't know. So, and they will suffer for it, because at the end of the day, ignorance is not, is not an excuse. So people need to start coming out, and don't just sit back at home and say, oh, the government, you just keep complaining, because we complain a lot as Nigerians. What are you doing as a Nigerian? Because the constitution says we, the Nigerian people, not some of the Nigerian people, we. So we're all together in this, and you have to come out of your comfort zone to know what's happening in your environment. If you ask some people in their local governments, who is the local government chairman? They have no idea.
Okay. While we are moving and looking at diversifying and not just making money, but seeing that local government and states work, let's tell you one particular port that is working. The Lekki port. Now, as we speak right now, the Lekki port is the second most used port in Nigeria. Now, the trade ranking is telling us that Lekki Deep Sea Port has become Nigeria's second most important port by trade volume. Just 3 years after launching operations, marking a major realignment in country's maritime logistics. Trade data from the first 3 quarters of 2025 show that Lekki has overtaken Tinkan Island and Port Harcourt, that's on it, in both import and export, solidifying its role as a key trade gateway. The port's rise is particularly notable in imports, where it now sits firmly behind only Apapa Port, underscoring its growing importance in facilitating Nigeria's international commerce. Okay, years back, long time ago, before this particular port came to fruition, people were arguing for and against. People were asking questions: is it the federal government funded project? Is it a state funded project? Now it's clear to everybody that states can rise up and get this done. How can other people start copying these templates that Lagos has put down for a while?
Yeah, it's possible, and I think again it's also a function of leadership. And so when you have a leader who sees tomorrow with clear vision, this is the kind of things that you get. And it's unfortunate that nationally and state-wise, we have not found such formidable structures elsewhere. Because what is working in Lagos is consistency. That's what's working. And every year people come around and they sit around the table and say, this is where we want to go to. This is what we want to do. And it looks stupid to some people. But you check out what Lagos is taking, not just from the seaports, even from the Dangote refinery alone. Because so many bigger vessels couldn't come to Nigeria before now. Because Apapa and Tinkan was a shallow water. So you have opportunity now, and so the volume will sure be more. Because you have bigger vessels coming to bet at the deep seaport. Yeah. So this make, of course, it to be the destination for import. And you know, because again, sanity is there at the port there, which you cannot find in where
Papa and Tinkan,
where the federal government has their stake.
Okay, that's another one below.
So you must understand it, because it's when things are run properly, where will you prefer to be? Where it's organized or where people are?
Yeah, safety and all that.
These are the things you will see. You won't go to Lekki now and see towns moving around.
The place is too clean.
Go to Apapa and see what's happening. Even our international airports, and they are coming and see all manners of human beings around the airport, and you are wondering, what are they doing here?
All the way down to Oshodi.
Quite embarrassing. So these are the things that we need to clean up. So if I am a business person, I would prefer to do business where it's clean and orderly.
Yes.
Okay.
Than go to disorderly place. And I think that, of course, must send message also to the federal government to say, clean up your facilities. We don't need touts around. People who have no business being in the port should not be there. Okay. You have one man who has about 8 boys who are working, doing nothing inside the port in the name of a clearing agent. What's he clearing?
Clearing and forwarding.
Okay.
I bought a small radio from Temu in South Africa. Before the goods left China where it was manufactured, they are sending me a payment link to pay the duty. I paid the duty before the code arrived. So why do we need people who walk around negotiating duties?
When everything can be automated.
Can be automated. And then government have the value for its money. And then clean out the towns. It's only, for example, in our airport here, you see that we don't allow hailing services to come in there. Elsewhere, boats walk into and pick people at random.
It's an association thing. Okay.
So this is the environment you see, and that's why you can't compare, because if Lagos build a second port, this one will be idle.
Okay, while a whole lot of expansion is still being envisaged, and there is a consideration for another port in Lagos. Okay, let's come this way. We have a port in Port Harcourt, we have one in Sapele, we have one in Warri. How can we make those ports viable?
It's back to leadership. We had this topic.
Leadership at the center or at the subnational?
It's in the middle. Because at the end of the day, if you're looking at leadership from the top, then you see that they are doing well with Lagos, which means that they have this harmonization of leadership between the federal government and the state government of Lagos. So for Port Harcourt, for Warri, it's from their side. The last time Swift was here, she mentioned that you would realize that I think she had a friend that tried to clean a good over there, and the cost of cleaning your goods in that side is ridiculous. And it goes back to what Doctor is saying. You should be able to do all of these things online, automation, where it helps you stay away from touts just perching around you when you come to collect these goods. So it's not about whether they go, because if you say the federal government is not doing enough, Lagos State will come out, or they will bring that Lagos State as a proof of good leadership, harmonized together. That's the FG and the state government. So I feel like at the end of the day, it's from the state side, not working directly to see how they can copy, redefine, and see what the consistency has looked like for Lagos in their own states. And when they do this, trust me, you would start seeing, because it's a matter of trust, it's a matter of security, it's a matter of, at the end of the day, there are no legal issues with this, because it's just trade shifting. And you can't place a legal issue on trade shifting. It's more market driven. So at the end of the day, people will come to this side because, like the doctor said, on the island is cleaner, is neater. The road usage, or how you get to take your goods from the port to the road, very accommodating for you. So what are the state governments in that side doing? Have they been able to sit down and say, okay, we've seen what Lagos State is doing. We've sent our representatives to Lagos to learn what's happening there, to help lead. See, you can't throw away good leadership in anything you do.
Okay. You can't throw away good leadership in anything you do. If a business is working, learn it. Now, let's talk about telecommunication expansion. The federal government is rolling out 3,007 rural telecom towers for underserved communities. We've talked about financial inclusion for a very long time. Now, the federal government has come and announced plans to deploy 3,007 rural telecommunication towers across Nigeria to enhance mobile and internet access to underserved regions. The initiative is part of a broader digital inclusion strategy aimed at bridging connectivity gaps, improving access to digital services, and accelerating economic opportunities in remote areas. Some time ago, we had this particular issue, and it was a government direct project to make sure that every single local government is connected. And aside the backbone that they were laying, Max is also coming up there. It's also very necessary for security reasons. We have some communities that before you can make emergency calls, you have to move.
Yeah.
As fast as this is trying to be implemented, how do you think we as a people can take ownership of it? Because that is where we are going right now. Ownership of every single federal structure. How will you advise we take ownership?
Well, see, the distance between the state and the society is still very wide. So you can't take ownership of infrastructure when the state does not belong to you. That's the sad part of its reality. I think it was Peter Ike who argued the fact that until the loyalty at the primordial society is transferred to the civil society, that ownership that you are thinking about will not be able to happen. Because the state is seen as theirs, it's not ours. You can do a rough census on the road and just ask people about their relationship with the state. And they tell you who are the owner of the state. Not them. And so once people don't see the state as theirs, protecting its infrastructure become difficult. So when you get to civilized society, they say, oh, this is our taxpayers' money. Not many Nigerians feel that this thing belongs to all of us.
But they'll start paying tax from next year.
Yeah, but you see, even the consciousness, because for them, tax is seen as punitive.
Okay.
It's not seen developmental. The man who's paying tax in South Africa, Morocco, in United Kingdom, in America, sees tax not as punitive, but as instrument of state to bring development close to them. But here, it's punitive. Look at all the conversation, whether by the elite or by the poor in Nigeria. The tax is seen as punitive. People argue and say, oh, we told you, when it comes, we will tax you people to hell.
I said that today.
This is the thing that people are talking about, because they don't see tax as instrument of governance. So it is until people understand and realize that they have an obligation to the state, just as they have right to draw from that state, it will be difficult for them to protect critical infrastructure that belongs to the state. This is a problem. So you must understand in the narrative and in the way people think. And they are looking at it and they are saying that, oh, we were in a meeting in South Africa, and then the professor that was teaching said, I pay 46% of my salary monthly to South African government.
46%.
Oh, yes, as income tax. And he's proud about it.
Okay. Dear Toby, this is where we are winding down. But now let's talk to ourselves. How can we get a narrative shift that we're doing here? But how can we get a behavioral change to let people get better informed that tax is not what Doctor just said it is, because that is what most people are thinking, and that is the fear of a whole lot of people. But also, let's go beyond that disownership of government infrastructure that is in localities where we live or around us. How can we get people to know that this belongs to us?
Well, so I'll give you an example. People need to start seeing why, you're taxing them. Let's use the example of the marketplace, local governments,
okay.
Informal tax collections. You collect money from them. They collect money on a daily basis.
Okay.
But yet you go to the environment where you have to buy your perishables and the rest, and it's all messed up, smelling. It's not even lighted up. You cannot go to a market now in Lagos at 8 o'clock. Everywhere is dark. So how you're collecting money from them, but they cannot see what you're doing with the money. We're talking about PVP here. How many leaders of the markets that we know in Lagos, for example, have creative minds to understand that they can get discussions with the states to see how Airtel, private-owned companies can come develop these shops or these market environments. We see OPA, we see all these fintech apps fintech companies go into markets to give out their machines for to vendors to use. What are you doing as a local government? What are you doing as a state government to tap from these fintech companies to develop that environment for them? Nothing. It's not about just collecting money. These people need to know that, okay, I have a son that works as the security man in this local government, and he's getting paid. He's well paid. He has insurance. He's getting certain benefits. So until then, you realize that what you're doing to that family is that the son comes back home and is happy because he's being paid. There's a job that was created for him. Mm-hmm. So at the end of the day, it's not about just collecting. These people need to start seeing rapidly what the money that you're collecting from them is doing in their lives, their immediate lives. Now, because if you have a clean, that people that will not go to the market because the market is not conducive, because it's not clean enough, it's not secure enough. But as a local government, what are you doing to clear up environments, to aid parking spaces? From this money you're collecting, how creative are you thinking, directly to see how you can affect change in the lives of people? Nothing. So it's not until you collect money. It's not, you just don't collect money from people. Now it's going to be difficult, like Doctor said, from the punitive mindset to development mindset. It takes time for people to start saying, okay, this week they collected 10,000 from me, but I am happy, so they'll give more. From there, their mind starts to change. They start to see a government that cares about them and not about the money.
Okay.
Yeah, but again, it's also good to know, because I remember when I did a study for Etisalat around when they came in newly, and I was in one of the recommendations that I gave actually from that research was the fact that can we begin to see people actually building masks that are co-owned?
Okay.
Now we know Airtel has their masks, we have MTN their masks, and
Everybody
has their own masks. Now this is one that the federal government is deploying. Who's going to be the owner?
Federal government.
Federal government don't have telephone lines.
So we could look at those joint
Would this be rented to the networks owners?
possibilities.
But I think all these things have to be on the table so that we know exactly whether it is an investment that is worth the while. Because we must do the cost-benefit analysis. Yes, of course, this is a social service to the people, I guess, because we are talking about financial inclusion and the rest of it. But if government is putting this money down to build these masks, and the telecom operators are going to be using, are they going to be using it for free? The government also is saying that we can also earn revenue from it. And I think we must also be looking at the economic side of it. That if we build these masks, and let's say, for example, or any of the telecoms want to use it, they should be able to pay rent out to the government for using that mask, since they cannot build in those areas, maybe because it may not be profitable for them to do such investment. Because those masks have to be maintained, because of course you have this generator around it.
Okay.
Security has to be provided and all of that. So who's going to do all of that? So this also must be looked at very critically, since we don't have a national telecom infrastructure that we can actually rely on, because these are private companies that are participating and government is supporting this business. And we've done this for a very long time, but we must also find a way to make revenue out of it. But I think like these people have done in Rwanda, we should be able to actually cover with fiber optics around the country, and then of course we can guarantee telecom flow and the rest of it. And then of course these underserved people can become adequately served.
Thank you very much, Doc. You've heard it, opportunities abound, major opportunities abound for every of these communities that have been underserved, and government is putting this infrastructure. The Doc is telling you directly, hey, it's not all about public service. We can make profit, a whole lot of profit. And we want to look forward to seeing what those papers will come out to look like at the end of the day. Remember this, we say this on this table every day. It's my responsibility and yours to grow this country. And we can't do that without growing your pocket. So grow your pocket, go out there and grow the nation. Remember, from January, we all pay tax. And we should now start learning how to ask questions. From us on this side of the table, I want to say thank you for being here with us. And I want to say a good, beautiful welcome back home to Doc. We know that tomorrow he will disappear again. But for now, let's enjoy you.
Thank you so very much. Good Nigeria. Praying that my lifetime that we see in Nigeria that is working for everybody, both rich and the poor.
Thank you very much, Sir Toby.
Thank you for joining SBL today. Stay glued to the TV. We have more programs for you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Have yourself a good day.